Reggae's biggest stars had shocking prison secrets. Bunny Wailer wrote his greatest hit behind bars, but number three's crime will blow your mind. Wait till you hear what really got Buju Banton locked up for 10 years. These artists didn't just make music. They survived the system. The truth drops at 2:30, if you can handle it. In 1967, Neville O'Reilly Livingston, known worldwide as Bunny Wailer, was not just one of the founding voices of the Wailers. He was also a man caught in the crosshairs of a country's war on its own culture. The irony was piercing. As a founding pillar of reggae alongside Robert Nesta Marley and Peter Tosh, Bunny Wailer helped create the very sound that would come to define resistance, freedom, and black consciousness. Yet in June of that year, Bunny was arrested for possession of illegal substance and sentenced to 18 months at the Richmond Prison Farm in St. Mary, Jamaica. His incarceration was not just a personal setback. It was a symbolic blow to the roots culture he represented. But prison bars could not restrain the spirit of a revolutionary. Within those walls, Bunny wrote, "Fighting Against Convictions," later known as Battering Down Sentence, a lyrical cry of defiance that would echo through reggae history. It would become the second track on his seminal 1976 album Black Heart Man, a record drenched in the pain, pride, and philosophy of Rastafari resistance. While Bunny Wailer's sentence was born from the criminalization of a sacred herb in the Rastafari tradition, it was not an isolated tragedy. The Jamaican state, shaped by colonial laws and post-colonial insecurities, wielded the law like a hammer against its own cultural revolutionaries. And Bunny, like so many others, bore the weight of that contradiction. As he served time, Bob Marley and Peter Tosh moved forward with JD Records under Danny Sims. The group splintered not only in personnel, but in soul. For Trevor Sutherland, the man the world would come to know as Ijaman Levi, prison was not the end. It was the crucible that reformed a man into a prophet. Before he was Levi, he was simply the youth, a rising talent whose life took a dramatic turn when he was convicted in England for resisting arrest and 2 counts of bodily harm. He served 3 harrowing years, and those years reshaped his identity and his mission. It was within the prison walls that Trevor shed his old skin, embracing a new consciousness rooted in Rastafari teachings. From behind bars, he birthed the song Jah Heavy Load, a spiritual lament-turned anthem that would later define his message to the world. But his time behind bars took more than it gave. His wife, Miss Beverly, and their family abandoned him. When the prison gates opened in 1974, freedom greeted him not with arms but emptiness. Stripped of his home and kin, Ijaman wandered the streets until he found sanctuary with the 12 tribes of Israel at St. Agnes Place in London. There, surrounded by faith and purpose, he deepened his biblical studies and found new meaning in his suffering. In 1975, he recorded Jah Heavy Load on the Concrete Jungle label under DIP Records, a raw testament to the burden he had carried. And yet it was not enough. His spiritual pilgrimage led him to Jamaica in 1977 in search of a producer. He found Jeffrey Chung, a musical visionary, and together they birthed 2 of Ijaman Levi's most enduring works, Highly I Am and Are We a Warrior, both released under Island Records. But Levi never forgot the journey that carved his soul. The number 26,701, his prison identification, became the title of an album that remains one of the most personal and haunting statements in reggae history. Next on our list is Gregory Isaacs. No voice in reggae was smoother than that of Gregory Isaacs, the man they called the cool ruler. Yet behind that velvet voice lay scars, shadows, and a relentless tug-of-war between art and addiction. In 1982, Gregory Isaacs found himself behind bars in Kingston, sentenced to 6 months for possession of unlicensed fire weapon. It was his 27th run-in with law enforcement, a number that reads more like the biography of a hunted man than that of a beloved singer. Isaacs claimed the weapons were for protection, a defense not uncommon in Kingston's violent undercurrents. But as the cell doors clanged shut, the world began to wonder, how could someone so revered also be so frequently pursued? The truth is, Isaac's battles were never just with the law. Addiction, paranoia, and psychological strain all chipped away at the man behind the legend. But reggae does not give up its soldiers easily. After his release, Gregory Isaacs reemerged without Dare, an album released under Island Records that reasserted his artistry with force and finesse. Yellow Man, the king of dancehall, even paid tribute with the track Gregory Free, immortalizing his comrades' release on the compilation Young Gifted and Yellow. In that same year, Isaacs appeared in Land of Look Behind, a raw documentary that peered into Jamaica's heart at a time when it bled with poverty, violence, and musical genius. Through it all, Gregory Isaacs remained defiant, delicate, and unforgettable. Next on our list is Frederick Nathaniel Hibbert. Frederick Nathaniel Hibbert, better known as Toots from the legendary group Toots and the Maytals, had his own story etched into prison walls. The man behind the exuberant voice of ska and reggae classics found himself incarcerated under circumstances laced with injustice and misfortune. While en route to a concert in Ocho Rios, Toots and his bandmates Jerry and Raleigh rode on separate motorcycles, unaware that their journey was about to take a disastrous detour. A trailing policeman arrested Jerry for carrying a pillion rider without proper documentation. Toots, who had been riding with the band's luggage, left his load at the Linstead police station and rushed back to Kingston to retrieve their manager, Ronnie Nasrallah, to secure bail. When he returned, the news shattered him. A sacred had allegedly been discovered in his luggage, and Toots himself was arrested. It was a blow laced with betrayal and irony. As a Rastaman, herb was not contraband but sacrament, and yet the state made him a criminal for carrying his sacrament. But from that pain emerged greatness. Behind the prison gates, Toots wrote, 5-4-4-6 was my number, a song that told his story with rage, rhythm, and resilience. The number as prison identification became more than just digits. It became a battle cry. That track would become the biggest hit of his career and cement his place as a giant not just in music, but in the spirit of survival. And then there was Mark Anthony Myrie, the man the world came to know as Buju Banton, a prophet whose fall shook the reggae universe. On February 22, 2011, in the United States, Buju Banton was found guilty on multiple federal charges, including conspiracy to possess with intent to distribute a illegal substance and the use of communication devices in furtherance of a drug trafficking offense. Though he was cleared on one charge, the court would not be lenient. For months later, he was sentenced to 10 years and 1 month in federal prison. Adding insult to injury, Buju was also convicted of a fire weapon-related offense, despite no weapon ever being found in his possession. The case was a storm of contradictions. Undercover agents, hidden recordings, questionable informants. The court proceedings played out like a Shakespearean tragedy wrapped in modern legal warfare. But to his fans and peers, Buju was not just another number in the system. He was a son of Jamaica, a torchbearer of roots consciousness, and a fearless voice against Babylon. His imprisonment sent shockwaves through the reggae world. Yet, even in captivity, his legacy only grew stronger. His music continued to inspire, his lyrics quoted like scripture by youth hungry for guidance. And on December 7, 2018, when Buju Banton finally walked free from McRae Correctional Institution in Georgia, the earth trembled. Crowds gathered, fans wept, and fellow artists embraced his return not as a fallen man, but as a returning king. Each of these men, Bunny Wailer, Ijamin Levi, Gregory Isaacs, Toots Hibbert, Buju Banton, represents more than a chapter in reggae's history. They are its conscience, its battle scars, its phoenixes. Their arrests were not mere incidents. They were crucibles of transformation, where sound collided with system and consciousness rose from confinement. Their music, forged in suffering, became hymns of redemption. They were not merely reggae artists who went to prison. They were prisoners who came back as prophets. And in that transformation, the music of the ghetto became the gospel of the globe. Which of these stories felt like redemption to you and which felt like injustice? Did prison break these artists or birth something greater within them? Drop your thoughts in the comments and tell us which of these journeys you think define reggae's fight for truth. And if powerful stories like these resonate with you, don't leave without subscribing. More truths are coming.